Warm welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Learning Podcast. Very excited to have Kumuthini Raman. Actually, wanted to introduce you a bit differently, Kumuthini. Wanted to start by saying here is a talent development professional who is also an inclusion advocate. I was also a business partner and performance consultant and helps businesses achieve desired outcomes by elevating their people value proposition. But I did that. Uh, any welcome words before I go ahead with your introduction?
Thank you, Ravi. It is a really lovely introduction. I'm impressed with myself right now. Thank you. Uh, I'm genuinely thrilled and quite excited to be here. Thank you for having me, and more importantly, thank you for creating this kind of space. Right? I mean, these conversations are not just information sharing, right? The people you've brought to your podcast, they've shared those little, what do you call those sparks, right? That they've picked up in their journeys that they maybe want to share with others to make somebody else's journey better. So I'm really hoping that I can leave behind a few ideas, thoughts that not just somebody else forward. So deeply grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Most welcome. So there's a title for this podcast. So it's a special episode. It's called The Architect of Learning with Kumuthini Raman. So typically four themes as we discussed. In the first one, we're looking at from strategy to scale, building impactful learning ecosystems. Couple of questions around. I'll come to that. Theme two is on consult, coach, and catalyze. The evolving role of L&D business partner. We look at that. Theme three, we're looking at design with soul, deliver with science, instructional design in the age of engagement. And the last one, beyond the classroom, embedding learning in the flow of work, right? So typically around 4 or 5 questions I have. And now before I go into the questions for the audience as such, Kumuthini is a seasoned professional with over a decade of diverse experience in talent development, learning consulting, and business partnering. Her leadership capabilities include strategically aligning learning outcomes to business objectives, training needs identification, designing capability-based learning framework, stakeholder partnering and value creation, and holding consulting conversations with leadership, people leadership, and team management. There's a whole lot of it, but I just concise it for the sake of my audience.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Now the first one. So typically the goals objectives for the first theme are understanding how strategic alignment of learning frameworks can drive business results. And we'll actually explore sustainable and scalable learning architectures that meet evolving organization needs. So a couple of questions, Kumuthini, for you are, so Kumuthini, the first theme is about from strategy to scale, building impactful learning ecosystems. So typically we're looking at questions around how do you ensure learning frameworks stay aligned with fast changing business objectives? And what are the critical components that make a learning ecosystem both scalable and sustainable?
These are great questions, Ravi, and quite relevant to today's context, right? Especially around alignment, because business priorities today don't shift every year; they shift every quarter, and in many places it kind of shifts even faster than that, right? And so the learning frameworks that we have in place can't be static anymore. They need to be dynamic, they need to be responsive, and they need to be built for evolution. And what I mean by built for evolution is we don't have the luxury of time or the resources to reinvent the wheel every time something shifts and changes, right? We need to build something that's agile, that's nimble, that can respond to the changing needs, but in a meaningful manner, right? And for that, our learning function, like as an organization, the learning organization, we need to be closer to the business. We need to be able to understand its pulse, anticipate what's changing, and so we are able to co-create a learning solution that's timely, that's fit for purpose for those changing needs, right? So we need to move away from a place where we are reacting to be able to respond in a timely manner. And that's the first thing, right? So proximity to the business. I think that's the first thing that will enable us to be more responsive and not react, to be more anticipatory and then be at a place where we can co-create things, right? And so the natural progression of that is the second part where we are in a place where we build that close relationship, that close allyship with the business. So we really need to elevate from a place of I am a support function to, to something else where we are more seen as partners, where co-creators, right? So we need to move away from a place where we are siloed, doing our own thing, having our own metrics, having our own agenda, running our own show, to doing something more together, to be those true allies and those partners. And that's not easy, right? It needs a mindset shift. And most of the time, when we talk about mindset shift, we are always talking about the shift that our stakeholders need to have. They need to see us differently. But this mindset shift starts from us as well, right? It begins with us moving away from giving you certain calendarized offerings, and we have plug and play self serve platforms, to being really curious about knowing who are the people that we are catering to, or what is their business landscape, what are their goals, what are their ambitions, who are their competitors, what are their priorities, to really knowing their people, right? What is the culture? Or what are the people struggling with? Where, in which pockets do we see high performance, and which pockets do we not? And why? Like, what's stopping them? What's coming in their way? Really knowing, understanding it. And it's probably not easy to understand all of it like overnight. It's going to take time. And that's the process of that building that relationship towards a true allyship or a partnership, right? And it takes time, it takes consistency, but we need to be able to do that. And that is the mindset shift that we're talking about. And when they see us doing it, then we can then ask for that shift from the other side as well. So, but it needs to start from us. And when we
Absolutely.
are at the, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Please.
Uh, okay. So when we are at that place, like, it's a good place to be, right? Because there's this mutual respect, and there is a mutual communication, and there is responsiveness from the other side, and it's a good place to be. And the next part is the tricky part, where we really need to transform to bring that alignment, because we've built that relationship, but it will not take us all the way as long as we don't add value, right? And to add that value, we need to, now we know the changes, we can anticipate those changes, but we need to do something about it. And that's the tricky part, because there is no one size fits all answer to how we do it, right? What's worked for one leader in one organization may not, may not work in another organization. I've seen that firsthand, right? In one of my previous roles, we brought in a leader who was very successful at this transformation, right? In her previous role, she had done the transformation, it was successful. She was able to really clearly deliver value for the businesses, and they were wowed by her, and they brought her in. She did the same changes, took the same initiatives, changed the target operating model for the learning organization, learning function, in the same format, in the same structure, and it just fell flat. It didn't work. So there is no one size fits all answer for this, but at the heart of it, and this is my belief, and I really strongly believe in it, right? It starts with a very powerful intent, the intent to make a difference. Um, and and when we say make a difference, this difference has to be purposeful. Purposeful is when we know to identify and drive those top 20% of those actions, which will then give us that 80% of impact and result, which can accelerate the business growth and their people priorities and their agenda and their leadership pipeline and their future skills. So not doing everything, or at least not investing the same amount of time, energy, resources, money into everything, but being able to identify what is it that drives real change, real growth, brings real alignment, and having that view for it. And that's the transformation that we're talking about here. So, long story short, in a nutshell, uh, I have three P's for you. The three P's that bring alignment in a fast changing business world is proximity to the business, uh, partnership with the business, and being purposeful for the business. Okay, I will leave it to you. You wanted to say something, share something. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was remembering the podcast with Sanjay Dev. He was from a manufacturing industry background, and I remember him talking about joining an IT organization. I think actually as a learning consultant, what are the kind of learning solutions you have. And there was a list of offerings. I remember once we had a list of offerings like static, maybe around 8 to 10. So
Yeah.
that is where he was talking exactly what you were saying, that when you really want to understand your business, you need to be in those tea, coffee, or secret break kind of conversations where they actually talk what exactly is happening in the business, right? So that's something which I felt
Yeah.
relevant over here, where you need to be closer to the business, and I think as you very rightly put and very well put. Coming to the next theme, Kumuthini, we're looking at consult, coach, and capitalize. Questions around how does it take L&D professional to truly influence business outcomes as a partner? You've been a partner throughout over the decade. Can you also share moments where a consulting conversation changed the course of a learning intervention as such?
Sure. So it's a really good question. I love this question, but I think it's a puzzle for me myself. I am actively working towards solving this puzzle for me, and the quality of how I go about solving this puzzle has evolved over time, right? So I may not have a proper answer for you, but what I can share is my journey of evolving through this, this being a true influencer and a partner, um, and I can share that and see if that makes sense for you, right? Um, and to me, true influencing or to being a true influencer starts with ourselves in the way we see ourselves and the role we think we play. And I'm a absolutely good example for this line, right? When I started my career, I started off thinking that, oh, I'm a trainer and my job is to make learning sessions engaging and fun. And so what I chose to do or what I chose not to do were very, very different things, right? There were really good opportunities to do some really good, meaningful things, but it all went unnoticed for me. Like I didn't have any eyes for it because the lens I used at that point was very fixated to how I saw myself and what my role is, right? And then over time, that changed slightly. And the story I told myself was, oh, I'm a trainer. My job is not just to make the learning session engaging, but my job is to make learning stick. So, and that pulled me to completely different directions, right? I got myself into instructional designing. I started owning content. I started leading development journeys, learning pathways, started experimenting with how I deliver the learning in the flow of work or making it more experiential, right? And that took me to a completely different direction and then got me thinking, right? Okay, what do I do beyond to make learning stick? What's coming in my way? And then I started to realize that as long as I don't speak business language, as long as I don't understand the realities of their world, it is going to be very tough to make learning stick. And so I started leaning towards understanding business more, being more curious about what's happening in that side of the world. And then I started to tell myself, I am not just here to make learning stick. I am a connector between the two worlds, between and two very distinct worlds, right? Between the business world and between the learning world. And so I started playing a role of a passive partner. I'm constantly trying to defend one world to the other at that point, right? And it's great. It starts to build relationships. I start to see different realities. So it's a great start, but that's not enough because there are gaps. Uh, if the intent is to add value, make learning stick, it still doesn't cross that line. And that thought is always lingering in my head, right? So then I slowly evolved. And the story I tell myself is, no, I am not a trainer. I am not a person that can be boxed to say this is my job or this is my role. I am a learning professional, and I'm here to enable business growth, enable their people agenda and their people priorities. I'm here to unlock people's potential, and I'm here to enable them have a very rewarding career growth and career progress. And that's the story I tell myself now, right? And so the role I choose to play is very, very different. Um, as much as it takes us to sometimes have that constructive challenge, have the courage to question them or hold that space very confidently, to ask them to pause, take a step back, and bring that insight or a point of view which they probably don't have, because you come from a specialized field of work. It also needs us to be willing to be influenced to their world, to their realities, to what success means to them, and be willing to think for them to make that happen. Right? I think it's a two-way street. It's a dual role. It's not one sided, that I'm a partner, I will always keep influencing you, and you have to be influenced by me all the time. It doesn't work like that. Most of the times it is two ways. And as much as we want to influence for the right reasons, there are many times we need to be influenced as well, to be able to deliver the right things. Right. So um, yeah, that's it, Ravi. There is no straight answer to this question at all, and there is no one word answer that I have. The short answer is, the sooner we all start to see ourselves playing a larger, more influential, more embedded role, and we don't box ourselves, we will all figure a way to, learn what's needed, to practice those skills, to show up as that person. We will all find a role model to observe, to copy. We will all find ways to fail fast, to learn fast from that, and at some point we'll get there.
Absolutely. While you were talking, a couple of things came to my mind. And this was at Wells when we started working together. I think in one of the meetings when I was actually there, you were doing some presentation to some US folk who was having about 40 years of experience in mortgage in his domain. Something which you told him
Yeah.
that, I don't know the technicalities as well, but you knew the technicalities very, very well. You pointed out some flaw, and when he actually went and did his homework, he came back and agreed with you. So you being an engineer, not into
Oh.
mortgages, actually, you went into in-depth to such an extent that a 40-year experienced guy came back saying that you were right. I think I was very surprised pleasantly that you had such a depth of business knowledge at that point of time. That's number one. The number two is when I think maybe for the similar kind of business, you did a kind of presentation, a deck, and I shared it with one of the vice presidents of a different domain. And he immediately calls me up saying that, who did this? I said, Kumuthini did it. Is it? And then he was very, very surprised because the deck had a lot of in-depth insights, which he didn't expect a business consultant to do. So in both the cases, worked with you very, very short, maybe 2-3 months, if I remember right. But I always saw you getting into the business side and from a knowledge standpoint, really getting it there. So yeah, that's just my observation.
Thank you. And I remember those examples, because at that point in time I was supporting a mortgage function, and when I came in to support the business, I didn't understand anything. I didn't understand anything of what they were trying to say, trying to do, because I didn't understand mortgage, how it operates in the industry, and what we were trying to do there, right? So I took up a certification course to understand the industry and how it works and things like that before I could act. So it took me some time to get to that place.
Absolutely. So moving on to the third theme, design with soul, deliver with science. Sounds very nice. So let's look at how do you infuse creativity into structured learning design models like ADDIE or ARCS? And what formats or techniques have you found most effective in keeping learners truly engaged?
Okay, so there are two very interesting things that you mentioned here. One is instructional design structure and strategy, which is more, structured form of thinking. And then there is creativity aspects that you're talking about. And for a lot of people, they don't go hand in hand. Structure and creativity don't hand in hand. And rightly so, right? For a lot of reasons, because it limits your creativity. But for me, at least within the learning side of things, the structure has given me a way to direct my creativity. So it's more like a launch pad for me than a limitation. And I've really had fun, and I've leaned to frameworks like Gagney's 9 events or ARCS or models like Kolb's learning cycle, because it really gets me to think beyond the classroom engagement to go to consider what's relevant, what are the skills that we're looking at, how can we make it practical or hands-on, or how do we transfer it back to work for them. And that's where the creative edge lies as well, right? Even when we talk about it from an adult learning principle, that is where it makes most sense for a learner as well, right? So I've always used these frameworks to give me that structure in thinking beyond what I would have ideally thought. And that's how I've used it. It's not to really box my thinking, but to give me a direction, to channel my creativity in places that matter, to identify where gaps are in the design, and then plug creativity into bringing those aspects to life. And I can give you examples, right? For example, we once ran a leadership development journey, and this was on a very heavy topic like ethical leadership, right? And it can become very topic heavy. It can become very unengaging and uninteractive and boring because people don't really engage with this kind of topic when there's heavy content coming your way, right? And so we decided we will use a flipped classroom style. We went theater style learning. We got in a real challenge where there were multiple ethical dilemmas that people had to deal with to drive home that learning insight. And that is what adult learning is, right? We are talking about a real tension that leaders have to deal with on a day in day out basis, and a learning session cannot start at ground zero with theory. They need to be put in the middle of the tension to learn something from it, to reflect with it, right? So that is what is going to make it relevant, and reflective. So that's the creative side of the structure. And if we don't use these frameworks to think about, is it practical, and ask those relevant questions, I probably would not have thought about flipping the classroom because I'm still, the checkbox is getting checked, right? Because I am hitting the objectives, I'm covering the topics. So it is, the creativity comes because there is a structure that helps me, prompts me to think. And another example I can give you is, in the flow of work, right? When we had to do something in the flow of work, right? Again, this is the structure prompting me to think, how do you transfer learning? And we came up with a very creative way of saying that, we'll transfer the learning by embedding these learning bites into their weekly rhythms. So they have these weekly rhythm, weekly meetings. So we embed these very small learning bites into their weekly meeting, and then ending it with, okay, what is that one action that you would commit to doing this week? And this action is inevitably related to the work that they're doing right now. And then the next week, the manager takes the lead to say, okay, have you done that action? And then they will start with sharing what they did successfully and where they failed. And this worked like a charm because it had personal accountability. It was in the flow of work, and it was underpinned by their current work that they were doing, and it was progressing their current work. Yeah. So it really worked, right? And I've seen a few of my friends in the industry who have used game-based learning to really, flip that model, become very creative at it, and really land those learnings home, right? And on topics that you would typically not think you can actually do a game-based learning, like compliance training. Yeah. Right? The highest that people experiment with compliance training is to bring some cartoons in and make it digital, right? Not game-based learning. And people have really tried it and have been successful with it. And there are organizations who have gone a notch above with creativity and in the flow of work by bringing these AI bots that sit with the participants after a learning program. So topics like risk assessment or project management, which are skill heavy, or even strategic thinking, which sometimes we don't know when we come back to work. I don't know how to think strategically. I mean, I attended a 5-day workshop, but I still don't know how to think strategically, right? This AI bot then sits with the learner to talk about, okay, you have a high stake meeting that's coming up. I see your calendar. Let's talk about strategic thinking and how you can bring that in that high stake meeting. Or you have a project running, so let's bring in some of the project management principles, or there is a risk assessment aspect that you're missing here. So really embedding what they've learned in the flow of work, right? So there are different ways of doing it. Some requires investment of money, some requires investment of time and that interest and energy. But yeah, it can be done.
A lot of thoughts are coming in. When you spoke about engagement, a couple of people hit my head. SV Nathan, sir,
Yeah,
so
yes.
you're head of Deloitte Talent and now uh, heading a huge line of business as well in India. Storytelling, because back in 2012 when I joined, and we had this thing where we called a guest every 3 months to get a job meeting, and we gave a one. Uh, we were floored with the way he was narrating a story. And
Mm.
it was went on for 45 minutes. He was talking, and we were visualizing exactly what he was trying to say. And after 45 minutes, it was wonderful. I mean, it was 100% engagement. It is so impactful that after 13 years also, I'm actually relating to it. And, my boss, Pramod Chandrasekhar, whom I love, wonderful session. In terms of engagement, if you look at the leadership session, we got the VPs, SVPs, and managers over there. He goes there without prep, starts off with some kind of humor, comedy. Everyone gets floored, and then he gets into the concept. So a lot of ways. I mean, I've actually seen practically, if
Yeah.
Shiva Gupta doing induction is amazing. The way he narrates a concept and links it to a story.
I have heard stories of that. I've never personally sat in. I think you had shared a couple of stories as well. Yes.
Tanay Kedial, wonderful leaders and art of engagement. I think series I should start and then get these leaders come on board. And the next one,
Oh,
Kumuthini, is go ahead. Sorry, yes,
yeah.
yes.
No, I was just saying, oh, that will become a hit. Ready ideas to lift and shift and apply.
Absolutely. And the last one you actually answered, looking at beyond the classroom, embedding learning in the flow of work, AI bots. So let me not ask a question because you did actually touch upon it, but I think it's wonderful to see a lot of AI tools coming into the picture now. Uh,
Yeah.
with machine learning algorithms and stuff like that. It's very, very customized and personalized learning. So once beyond the classroom, so initially, if you look at it, it's a ILT heavy kind of uh, you know architecture or a strategic approach where they come and we used to measure it by days. I remember back in Wells, 5 days or 6 days was a target per employee, and for me operations we had 2,000 people, and I was able to achieve it. But
Mm.
now I don't think so. That's the case. I mean, people actually want to learn sitting on the system. It's really at the
Yeah.
flow of work, as you rightly said, and with ChatGPT Plus and such. They learn something, they go type in terms, and they actually learn
Yeah,
by the hour.
not just enabling flow of work, Ravi. I think one of the question when you asked me at the start about scale and sustainability, it is impossible to achieve scale and sustainability if we do not tap into technology, enabling infrastructure that scaffolds. Like we need to have good governance in place. We need to have the budget and money. We need to have resources and people supporting us. We need to have a sponsor. We need to have all of that, and we need to focus on the experience itself because it has to be easy. It has to be intuitive. Otherwise, beyond pilot, it won't go anywhere, right? Nobody was going to adapt it, and nobody is going to go for it. So obviously, it won't sustain. But I think technology is a great opportunity to scale and to sustain learning impact as long as we think of it and use it appropriately. Now there are so many AI powered tools which, I mean, at one point when we went and thought of LMS and learning platforms, we looked at this as anytime, anywhere. There is a mobile app, and we will do the same thing. It will come on the mobile app. We will try and convert some of the topics digitally, right? But now it is AI powered and so hyper personalized. It can bring in a lot of data together to make it so contextualized, so relevant, and catering to individual ambitions and not just the business ambitions, right? So I think we can do a lot, both in the flow of work, but also in terms of scaling and sustaining the learning ecosystem if we really tap into technology. But that's not to take away the fact that it is complex. People who have ventured in it have been stuck in it for a long time, not really reaping much out of it. But yeah, if we don't invest sooner, then we probably will be late to the game, to the party. Yeah.
Absolutely. I get it. Absolutely. I think maybe I should have asked this first, but at least I'm asking you now. What are the areas of interest that you have, hobbies and passions? And from what I know, I think music, dance is one. And the next question is, how do these actually impact your performance at office or work?
Oh, I mean, I don't look at it as separate things. For me, it's a part of me. Any time I see an opportunity to shake a leg, I am up for it because it gives me energy. It fills me with joy. I might be absolutely horrible at it, but I still go ahead and do it because in my in my head I'm brilliant, right? That unconscious incompetence, and I like to stay in that place of bliss. So I just go ahead and do it because I feel very happy doing it. So I think it is very important for all of us to find whatever gives us joy. Spending time with my family, with my husband, with my daughter, spending time with my friends, talking a lot of random things about the country and how we can improve the country and things like that. It energizes me. So I do a lot of those things which gives me energy, and it's important. We can't all work 24 bar 7 and find energy from that because we are always trying to influence people, we are trying to influence work, we are trying to influence something that's putting into it, right? Energy is going away from us, so we need to find a way to fill our energy bank. So it's important to find those things which will give us
We're
energy,
into
park
painting as
some
well, I
time for that.
understood.
Yes, like I said, that is also another area of unconscious incompetence. It
Mhm.
gives me great joy, and I don't know. I would have made so many paintings, Ravi, and I can count in my finger the number of paintings that turned out good.
Yeah, you were
And the rest
gifting
of
it to
them are
your best
all,
friends also. That's what I know.
yeah, I am gifting to my best friend because I can't stand seeing it. I'm like, okay, you take it, keep it in my memory. And I've tried to do
Uh,
that with my husband also. I tried painting a couple of things and I'm like, I put it in your workstation. Look at it every day morning. Didn't work. He didn't want to keep it.
no, I loved it. Thank you so much, Kumuthini. I think we did cover the themes in terms of
Yes, we did.
building impact learning with your systems to coaching. Maybe a parting question, I should say. Speaking with Abhijit on a podcast maybe 3 4 months back, he's working at S&P Global as I think almost director for coaching COE over there. Very interesting
Yeah.
conversation. I want to pick your brain over there. Now, coaching and mentoring, whatever the definitions are, not going there. But from what I know from HSBC Wells Fargo, it's always the cream or cream, so ABP, VP, those are the performers who used to actually get it. And approval has to come from the top. So I remember back at Wells, leaders were actually
Yeah.
coached by someone from Singapore flying down over here, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
I've seen that happening. Now, when I was
Yeah.
speaking with Abhijay, that was the first time I was getting to understand that coaching as a learning offering is been offered to everyone in his
Yeah.
particular company. It was not too
Yeah.
easy initially. He actually went through the ups and lows and whatever it is, but they got it done. For
Yeah.
4,000 FTE, this is a learning offering. Now,
Yeah.
initially they actually thought everyone is going to come for it, and they thought maybe there are only 3 or 4 of them, they will not be able to manage. But it was just 1%, 1.5% of the entire population who really wanted to go for it, and they've been able to
Yeah.
sustain it. I think I don't know
Yeah.
many number of years as such. So have you
Yeah.
seen such things across in the UK or whichever companies you actually work in, that coaching as a learning offering is being given by
It is
companies?
not it is not rampant, I'll say that, but it is definitely picking up. For example, in my current role, in my current organization, I spend 75% of the time doing one-on-one coaching, and that's my primary job. The rest of the 25-30% is talent partnering with the business and the business leaders. And the rest of the time, it's one-on-one coaching. And interestingly enough, Ravi, it is not parked for high-profile leaders. It is offered across the board, and I coach across levels, and it's amazing to see how meaningful difference we can make when we try and position ourselves across levels for everyone instead of parking ourselves to say, I know you are a high potential, so irrespective of I offer you coaching or not, you're anyway going to shine, so I will offer coaching because it's good for me. Then it doesn't work that way, right? So and it can be it and there is this traditional coaching, inside out coaching, where people coach holistically, but there is also this performance coaching, which is, where you look at a very targeted performance outcome and you coach people for the targeted outcome. So there are different types of coachings also that's happening within organizations and across levels. And I think it's a really good thing. It's a really good thing because not everybody evolve at the same pace. Not everybody get to what they need to be getting to in terms of unlocking their potential and shining and being the stars that they are, right? Without a nudge. And this nudge can help them get there faster. And if they get there faster, it's good for the company, it's good for the team, it's good for the business. So why will they not want it? So I think it's a good thought, and it is not rampant, but it is. I see increasingly in number, and that's how it should be.
With also this thought that even before, let's say, students get on board to a company, the campus to corporate kind of, we do have those sessions where we try to align their thought process to the vision, mission of the company and stuff like that. That's been the traditional way of doing it. But there's newer thoughts coming in where whatever coaching we're doing for the employees, tenured ones, the same concept can be applied for the students as such. And we're actually trying to pilot that here in Hyderabad with some of the colleagues over here, where we tell them end to end what are the kind of expectations. Because a lot of politics in, we know, but we learn the hard way, trying to maneuver and navigate.
Yeah.
But I think giving a couple of insights, even before they come into the offices, I think helps them a lot to navigate easily.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's so good. Much, and when I started my career, Ravi, I started with no. I was just saying when I started with SRM, and what you just mentioned about students, right? About what you're doing with students. That was my role there, to coach students to be corporate ready.
Trendsetter 10 years back.
Yeah. So I think it is very relevant, much needed for students, very much needed for students. So it's a great initiative that you've gotten yourself into. It's quite useful for them.
So I had a great time, listening to you and the kind of examples and insights.
I had a great time talking as well.
I think we should do this, not saying more often, but maybe 6 months or whatever the timeline. Should allow to come in. Okay, let's see what they say versus this one. I'm going to release a teaser, I think, sometime today evening. And I've seen, a lot of fan following for you. Anyway, already exists since 10 years. So they're going to see you. I would love to hear you as well. So thanks a lot for your time, Kumuthini. And until we meet again, any parting words? At least.
Thank you, Ravi.
All right. Yeah. See you.
No, you're doing a great job. You're bringing in great people. Now that I've come, it's become even better.
That's what I thought.
So keep doing the great job, Ravi. It's brilliant work. Keep doing the great job.
All right. See you then.
Okay. Thank you for your time, and it was lovely talking to you. And I will stay in touch.